First of all, I promise this video isn't clickbait. I'm going to get to the solution within the next 20 seconds. But just so that we're all on the same page, what is doom scrolling? The way I'm defining it is that it's when you indefinitely scroll through a site, consuming content without any particular purpose. The cure? Simply stop scrolling. You can't doom scroll if you don't scroll in the first place. For example, here is what YouTube looks like on my phone. We can see 2 to 3 videos on the homepage. If I want to watch any or all of those, then great, I can go check them out. If I don't like this selection or I've already seen these videos, then too bad, I can't scroll. That's it, that's the technique. The rest of this video is food for thought around what brought about doom scrolling, why it's bad, and how my technique has impacted me. How did we get to doom scrolling? Well, I don't want to focus too much on history, so I just want to cover a couple of events, both of which happened in 2006. One is that infinite scrolling was invented, so you no longer needed to click a next button in order to get new content. You would just scroll down and it would load. And two is that Facebook introduced the news feed, which was one convenient location to see all of your friends' updates. Now, the concept of a news feed may have existed before that, but as you know, Facebook is a mega site and it helped embed that concept in our collective consciousness. And now look around you on the internet. It's practically expected that social media or news sites are going to employ both of these concepts. They'll have aggregation of all the content on their page. This is Twitter, for example. This is Reddit. This is TikTok. And as you scroll down, you'll see more content load. And that formed the crucible of doom scrolling. You needed lots of content in one place and you needed to load as you scroll down the page. So why did sites start employing these techniques that facilitate doom scrolling? How do they benefit? And it's simple. They're all vying for your precious attention. If you were to run out of content or if it took too long to load, you may lose interest and then you'd leave the site. And at that point, the site would have to recapture your attention, which is harder than just keeping it in the first place. It's why sites will send out emails or notifications to try to get you back. But if you're just one little scroll away from something that's potentially interesting, you'll stay on that site for longer. It's essentially a fight between the designers of the site and your psychology. So why is doom scrolling bad? Well, we're entering opinion territory here. I think it's bad for many reasons. For one, it's training us to expect instant gratification. If you want to seek out entertainment or information, you just need to scroll a little bit farther and there's your dopamine hit. Oftentimes in real life, we don't have such quick reward cycles, so this steers our behaviors toward those that are more immediately fulfilling. The second is that we have shorter attention spans as a result of doom scrolling. When you can flip from point to point, if you find something that's boring or complex, then you can just skip it and move on to the next thing. If you apply that many times over days or months, you'll shorten your attention span. And the third is that it consumes an outsized amount of time. I think we all need some amount of mindless entertainment, but if you've ever doom scrolled, you've probably seen hours evaporate. These three things combine to form something a little bit bigger than that though. If you are expecting instant gratification and you don't have much of an attention span left and you're short on time, you're probably not going to tackle a medium-term or long-term project. And then by not tackling one, you're probably justified doom scrolling a little bit more. I don't think doom scrolling is the end of society or the worst thing to happen to us, but technology influences our daily lives and I've seen these impacts in myself and in others around me. That brings us back to my system. I originally said it was just don't scroll, but that's not entirely true. I came up with these 3 rules. The first is no scrolling the infinite. So you can still look through your email if you want to, or if you're buying a product, you're not forced to just click the top 1 or 2 results. And as I just kind of hinted at there, you can search for things and you can subscribe to things. All 3 of these have the quality of intentionality. Doom scrolling is not intentional. Think of what happens before you start doom scrolling. You're probably not thinking, oh man, I can't wait to watch 3 hours worth of videos. You're probably just bored and you're seeking out entertainment, and before you know it, you've consumed tens or hundreds of posts. When you search for something, you at least need a vague idea of what it is you're searching for so that you can type it into the search query. And if you subscribe to somebody, then it's an informed decision based on your past experience with them. You must have liked their content and you want to see more of it, so you subscribe to them. Wink, wink. That brings a level of mindfulness to what you're doing that I theorize will let you stop that thing that you're doing if you didn't like it. Let's talk about the impact of this system, and I'll start with the positives. For one, it was easy to start. I sort of had this automatic habit of just scrolling through an app, even if I didn't really care. And once I overcame that, I wasn't really struggling with the fact that I was just looking at a static view of the app and I couldn't scroll down. That might be hard for some people. It didn't turn out to be too hard for me, at least. I did run out of content, which was pretty much the entire point of this. When you have an infinite list of things, you can't run out. But when you only look at the first few, you can run out, and that's what instills that mindfulness in you. And as a result of running out of content, I did have some positive replacement behaviors, things I wanted to do or books I wanted to read that I would do when I figured I'm done with my phone now. I can't look at anything else. And then if you can only see 1 or 2 pieces of content, your bar of what you'll look at starts to drop a little bit. So I did end up experiencing new content because I was just super bored some days and would only watch those first 1 or 2 videos that showed up. And then I did still get some news. One nice coincidence about this is that most apps are going to try to show you the most interesting content at the top anyway. So even though I could only see 1 or 2 news items, those were essentially tailored to my taste and would be interesting to me. It did feel a little weird at first. This is not a positive, but as long as I'm talking about this, I was out of the loop on some things that I was previously completely up to date on. And I would find out later, maybe a week or a month later from a friend that, hey, something happened or a new game came out that I wanted to try. And that did feel a little bit strange. I think the good outweighed the bad, or I wouldn't be making this video, but there were certainly some negatives. Whenever you have any rules, it's possible to abide by them, but still bend the spirit of the rule, which I found myself doing. I could only look at 1 or 2 things in each app, but I could open multiple apps. And so when I wanted more content, I found myself kind of bouncing back and forth between 3 or 4 different apps. And then sometimes I was bored, I'd look through everything I could look through, and I just thought, I still just want to sit here and do nothing, so let me search for something. And I rationalized that by saying, well, at least I'm searching for something I was interested in, and sometimes it was productive, but sometimes it was just to fill the time. And then while there were some productive replacement behaviors I had, there were also some negative ones or unproductive ones. I'm not going to comment on whether they were better or worse than doom scrolling, but it's not like it always resulted in me doing something productive with my time. So the technique isn't perfect. I can't say I'm some evolved human being after all of this, but it was an easy enough experiment to conduct. And if it helps even a little, it's probably worthwhile to try out. I can say that I did stop doom scrolling after all of this, but it's not a silver bullet for curing depression or for getting you to start on that project you've always wanted to do. I've read a decent amount about topics adjacent to this, mental health, productivity, psychology, and there's almost never a simple solution to complex behavioral problems. Some of us are doom scrolling because we lack the framework in our lives to do what we want to do. And not scrolling isn't going to make your job less stressful, your family more supportive, or read your obligation. So I still urge you to try it out. It did help me, but I wanted to set expectations. As always, thank you very much for watching this video, and please do consider subscribing.